Day 11 of the transfer window, and this video is a bit of a wish list video. What positions, not players, what positions David Moyes is hoping to strengthen this month. In my wish list, the positions I would like to strengthen, as well as one player in particular I'd love to bring to West Ham United, Aaron Hickey. I'm going to do my best to explain and justify why West Ham should make the move and bring him to West Ham United this month, not this summer, this transfer window. We need Aaron Hickey at West Ham United. But before we deal with that and him, let's deal with the reports that David Moyes is targeting a centre-back and a striker. Perhaps no surprise, but it would imply that we're only going after two players, which may be disappointing to the greedy people like myself. I was hoping for three, maybe so. But centre-back and striker seem to be the targets for David Moyes. Now, after the Leeds United game, the manager confirmed there is money available. He basically said that the boards have made it clear to him there's funds there to spend. If he so wishes, or there's players he identifies, they'll do their best to make it happen, bring them to West Ham United. No surprise there, is there? I mean, I'd be concerned if he said anything else, David Moyes. But just providing a little update and a little bit of context to the video. So, centre-back and striker. I'm pleased about the centre-back one. I'll come on to that in just a minute. But as for the striker, part of me is not really convinced it's going to be a striker. Because before the window opened, Moyes he seemed a little bit downbeat, a little bit negative, basically saying that it's difficult to replace Michail Antonio. Finding a striker compatible and bringing him in is not going to be easy. There's not many available, there's not many that's affordable, and just not many exist, if you like. There's not that many strikers that is like Michail Antonio. And obviously he basically spoke about Antonio's impact at West Ham, how important he is. So anyone coming in to challenge him is going to have to be bloody good. Now, I don't disagree with him, but I just thought Moyes a little bit almost like warning that we're not going to get a striker. Because he then also spoke about Jesse Lingard, the impact he had. I think the word he used was dynamic, the dynamic of Jesse Lingard. And basically said we need a striker or someone like Jesse at West Ham in January. Now, I always felt that we'd probably go for the someone like Jesse, especially when you add in his comments about replacing Said Benrahma as he goes off to the African nations as well. Perhaps Nikola Vlasic has changed that. Perhaps the performances, the last few performances of Nikola Vlasic and Lanzini to some extent, perhaps has said to Moyes, actually, you've got enough there with Bowen, Vlasic, and Lanzini and Fornals. You've got enough to get through until Benrahma comes back. Because, let's face it, worst case scenario, which for West Ham, that is Benrahma and Algeria get to the final, retain the African Nations Cup. That's the 6th of February, right? That's 1 week after the window shuts. It's not that long, is it? It's a month today. This time in a month, Benrahma will be back at West Ham United, so he doesn't miss that much football. So perhaps the form of those players has made Moyes think, well, actually, I don't really need someone like Jesse Lingard anymore. A striker is what I need. So we'll wait and see. Now, the centre-back one is perhaps a little bit pleasing because of comments Moyes has made in the past. I remember when Kurt Zouma got injured, Moyes basically said, this might have changed the way we go about the transfer window, which would imply we weren't going to be targeting a centre-back despite Ogbonna being out for the season. But it would imply that Moyes was perhaps happy to go along with Dawson, Diop and Kurt Zouma as his three centre-backs, and it would do for the remainder of the season. But the fact we're going to have to centre-back pleases me, because I've been far from convinced by Dawson or Diop, individually and as a partnership, for different reasons. I think I used the phrases to Gonzo when we were speaking about the game against Leeds, the player rating show. Said to Gonzo that Diop concerns me, he worries me. I get a bit nervous when I watch him. I thought he had a good second half against Leeds, but the first half he was a bit shaky. We know about the errors against Crystal Palace. I'm not 100% confident in him yet. I don't want to sell him with that. I mean, I wouldn't be against it, not this window, in future. But I'm hoping he goes on to become a first team player at West Ham. Now, Dawson doesn't necessarily concern me like Diop does, but he frustrates me. I think he sometimes gets away with a few big errors, whereas Diop tends to get punished for them for whatever reason. And then his sort of passing or lack of passing out from the back frustrates me as well. I'm not the biggest fan of either of them or as a partnership. So I'm pleased to see that we're going after a centre-back in January, and I hope that it's a good centre-back too. Initially I was a bit like, someone like Phil Jones, a little loan deal or something, just to bulk out the numbers, if you like, in that defensive area, would be adequate to see us through to the end of the season. Then we can readdress it in the summer, whether that's a freebie or seeing how Ogbonna is or whatever. I'm kind of hoping it's a bit better than that now. I'm kind of hoping it's going to be a substantial investment at the centre-back area. And I'm aware people say it's a difficult window to buy in and stuff. I'm aware of that. But it feels like, for the first January transfer window in a few seasons now, it feels like there's quite a lot of big players on the move, doesn't it? It feels like there's big players available. James Tarkowski is one of them. I'm sort of 50-50 with him because there's a bit of a social media myth with Tarkowski in there. It's frustrated me. I think I've spoken about it before. I'm going to speak about it again. People say he plays on the left for Burnley, but he doesn't. He plays on the right. Ben Mee plays on the left. He only plays on the left when Collins comes into the team. So this whole Tarkowski's a left-sided centre-back, get him in. He's not really. He's naturally the right-sided. But he's been in bad form for Burnley recently. Burnley fans want him dropped. Some Burnley fans want him sold. They're just, I'll just get rid of him, cash in on him before he goes for free in the summer. His heart's not in it anymore at Burnley. And when you look at some of the goals they've conceded recently, he is at fault. He's making as much errors as Diop is at the moment, Tarkowski. You could argue that a change of scenery would, and he's just lack of motivation at Burnley or something. But then when people have concerns over Luca Dean's attitude, well, surely then you've got to have concerns about James Tarkowski, haven't you? Anyway, that's the David Moyes wish list. Centre-back and striker. I agree with both. for what it's worth. But there's one more to that. There's one more to that as far as I'm concerned. Aaron Hickey. Now, when we were linked with Lucas, I say linked, we weren't even linked to Lucas Dean. I did a video, I think it was exactly a week ago. So I would love Luca Dean at West Ham United. And I stand by it, I would have. And then there was rumours that we'd smash our wage bracket, I think it was called. And I dismissed that, wage structure, sorry. And I thought, oh, rubbish, it's just excuses. Turns out, it was true, it would have smashed it. He's apparently going to be on about 150 grand a week if he moves to Aston Villa, which is just ridiculous. So I'm agreeing with that. And like, what I will say in my defence is I never said about buying Lucas Dean. I said about loaning him, because I think spending 25-30 million on a player like Dean perhaps wouldn't be good value for West Ham. A loan move would have made complete sense. However, spending money on this player would make sense. Aaron Hickey. He is Scottish. And I know you're going to go, oh, no, just hear me out. First of all, we've got a pretty good track record with left backs. Andy Robertson, Kieran Tierney. We're doing alright with left backs in Scotland, alright? We love a left back. Just hear me out. Aaron Hickey broke through at Hearts. 16 years old. 16 he got into the first team. His third ever game for Hearts was in the Scottish Cup final. Third ever game. 16 years old, played in the Scottish final against Celtic. And he played well that game too. The youngest player to start in a Scottish Cup final in the modern era. Fun fact, maybe, there was a ball boy older than him. The ball boy around the side of the pitch was older than Hearts' left back in that Scottish Cup final. So anyway, he broke through at Hearts as a left back. He was in and out of the team a little bit, racking up appearances, a good number of appearances for his age. But then he went to Bologna in Italy, about 1.52 million, something like that, a couple of years ago. So he moved a year and a half, 2 years ago. He moved to Bologna in Italy for football. He wanted more. He wanted to play more regularly, so off he went there, and he is playing more regular. He's their first choice left back now over in Serie A. 19 years of age now. 4 goals this season. He is smashing it. He's having a tremendous season out in Italy. But the opportunity, the window of opportunity to go and sign him is small. There's a lot of clubs interested in him at the minute. AC Milan's looking at him, Paolo Maldini. So when Maldini is looking at a defender saying that's a good defender, I think it's worth taking note. Right? You don't believe me, you're thinking you know nothing, G. Oh, that's fine. But can you trust Maldini with his judgment on a defender? Surely, right? Now I expected him to go to Aston Villa, and this is why I didn't think Dean would go to Villa, because Steven Gerrard wanted Hickey at Rangers, obviously didn't get him, so he's gone to Villa, immediately linked with him, makes sense, but for whatever reason it's not happened. I just think he would be fantastic at West Ham. It would be perfect cover and competition for Aaron Cresswell, and in a season, 2 seasons, it would be Aaron Cresswell's replacement. I guess the only risk is he left Hearts for first team football, so would he accept sort of second choice left back at West Ham United? Possibly not, but at the same time possibly. And he will move to the Premier League. I am convinced that he will be in the Premier League in 2 or 3 seasons time. Maybe he's enjoying life out in Italy and he decides to stay over there, but I just feel that a move to the Premier League is inevitable. There's another fullback I've spoken about recently on this channel that's Scottish, and that's Nathan Patterson. He's a right back though. He's just moved to Everton. The difference between Hickey and Patterson, well, there's one similarity: the fee. Patterson moved for 12 million, may go up to 16 depending on how he does at Everton. So 12 million is what Everton have paid for Patterson. Patterson's played about 10 games. He's not played much football at all for Rangers. He's played about the same amount of games for Scotland as he has Rangers. Now, he has potential, and I'm sure he'll go on to be a really good right back. I think it's a brilliant signing for Everton for what it's worth. But the context, my comparison here is Patterson's played about 10 games for Rangers. Hickey, for Hearts and Bologna now, he's racked up about 60 appearances. Declan Rice has just hit 150 for West Ham, which is an outstanding achievement as a 22-year-old. Hickey's probably on course for not being far off that at 22 years of age. Now, yes, I know you'll dismiss the Scottish League. Yeah, it's for Hearts and stuff. But what you can't do is dismiss the Serie A, I don't think. And that's the difference. He's gone there and he's proving it. He's one of the best left backs in the league at the minute over in Italy. We can get someone like that at West Ham. It would be unbelievable. He's fast. He's really fast. Runs for 90 minutes. He's got the engine on him. He's ticking a lot of the David Moyes boxes already. Defensively, really, really solid. His final ball, if you like, can be worked upon, but he's 19. He turns 20 in the summer, but he's 19 years old at the minute. But his attitude's fantastic too. He has pulled out of a under-21 Scotland team. He's pulled out a couple of times to focus on his club career over at Bologna. He didn't want to move away from Bologna, even if just for a couple of weeks. He wanted to stay out there, establish himself as a left back. When he was at Hearts, he said all the right things. He wants to bulk up. He knows he's quite small. He knows he's quite weak. He had to bulk up. He had to get bigger in order to be competitive. He ticks a lot of the boxes. I would just love to see him at West Ham. And I think that this window is possibly the only window you're going to get him. You might get the summer as well. You might. But like I said, I feel that the move is inevitable, and I think he would be perfect for West Ham. I think he'd be a perfect understudy for Creswell for a year, 18 months, but also capable of playing when called upon. Gonzo did a video about Ben Johnson earlier, and it was sort of off the back of a conversation we'd had. We'd had a bit of an in-depth discussion about Ben Johnson earlier in the week and stuff. And in that video, I said that Ben Johnson's development is bad news. Normally, when a young player comes through, say Harrison Ashby somehow come through at West Ham, was fantastic, it would be bad news for Ryan Fredericks, wouldn't it? It would be bad news for him. You normally only trouble one player. When you have such a position like fullback, you normally only trouble one player. Ben Johnson's bad news for Masuaku and Ryan Fredericks at West Ham. But while it's brilliant that he can play right back and left back, I think it's also dangerous to eventually, if rumours that Masuaku's on his way out and Fredericks may be going at the end of the season because his contract's up, I think it would be dangerous to have Ben Johnson as your second choice right back and left back, which he currently is. But that's okay because you've got sort of Masuaku and Fredericks in the squad. But let's just say we got rid of both of them, which I think is fair. I think is a fair thing to expect. If we went into next season with our fullbacks as Creswell, Soufal and Johnson, and then Harrison Ashby, I think you're asking for trouble. I don't think there's enough depth there, particularly if we qualify for European football again. Aaron Hickey has fantastic experience for his age. He has a lot of things to like about him, a lot of things that would suit David Moyes about him as well. It's a bit of a no-brainer, really. The reason I compared him to Patterson is because I think his fee's compatible. I think he'd be about 12, 15 million. I think 15 million would get him out of Bologna as well. In 2-3 seasons time, I think 15 million will look like a bargain. A bit like the John McGinn thing. John McGinn we looked at years before. He was when Villa were in the Championship. McGinn was at Hibs. West Ham looked at him in David Moyes' first tenure, 3 million, and went, oh, that's quite pricey, we'll leave that. Gone to Villa. How much is John McGinn worth today? 50 million maybe? Something like that. At the time, fees can look a little bit expensive, a bit of a gamble, but if it works, it becomes a bargain. Just like that. Aaron Hickey will be one of those players. Nathan Patterson at Everton will be one of those players. Get Hickey to West Ham is what I'm saying. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, drop a like on it, subscribe if you're new around here. I'll have a video tonight. Transfer rumours is going up tonight, so we won't be looking at the positions. We'll be looking at the players that West Ham are linked with.